Looking for something to watch over October? Here's some of my favourite horror movies to watch on Amazon Prime. Hey there guys, and welcome back to Dino Reviews. So we are in day 10 of our 31 days of Halloween, and today guys I just wanted to go through a few of my favourite horror movies to watch on Amazon Prime. So I wanted to do something a little bit different guys. This isn't a ranking or anything like that. It's just a couple of movies that I'd recommend giving a go. So the first one I would recommend is The Innkeepers. So The Innkeepers was released in 2011 and it's an American supernatural horror film written and directed by Ty West. It stars Sarah Paxton, Pat Healy and Kelly McGillis. Now what I like mostly with this one guys, it's a good old-fashioned ghost story. So if you like movies like The Conjuring and Insidious, it is similar enough to them, but what I like particularly about it is it's a slow burn movie. It kind of relies on tension and foreboding over scares. But once the second half kicks in, once we kind of get into that scary part of the film, it is all out scares. It's a very tense film for sure. It does rely on kind of setting things up more than anything else, but the last act of the movie is downright terrifying. If you like a slow burn movie, if you like a good ghost story, this will be one to check out. My next one I suggest is The Woman in Black from 2012. So The Woman in Black, it's a supernatural horror film directed by James Watkins and it's written by Jane Goldman. If you're a fan of gothic horror and Hammer horror in particular, this is produced by them and it's kind of a modernized version of what Hammer horror would normally offer. So it is kind of a good old-fashioned ghost story again, but it's set in an interesting time. So the film is actually set in the early 20th century England and it follows a young recently widowed lawyer who travels to a remote village where he slowly discovers that a vengeful ghost of a scorned woman is terrorizing the locals. Now this one guys is a downright scary movie. Honestly for me it's one of the scarier ones I've seen from Hammer Horror. I know they've kind of released quite a few new movies over the last decade, but this is by far my favourite one. Daniel Radcliffe as well gives a great performance in the movie. I think this was his first movie since doing Harry Potter and he honestly carries it off brilliantly. The movie is genuinely terrifying, it is quite claustrophobic and again it relies on tension. What I particularly like about this movie though is you don't see a lot of the Woman in Black. So she is the title character, the main villain, but compared to a lot of horror movies there where we have to see the villain, you don't see too much of her. Now of course with the sequel you see way too much of her, but I think that's what makes this movie work. She is constantly kept in the dark where she should be and she pops out here and there for a good jump scare. I really enjoyed this one guys. If you get a chance, check it out and let me know what you think of it. Now another one to check out is Copycat from 1995. So Copycat, it is a psychological thriller and it was directed by Jan Emile and it stars Sigourney Weaver, Holly Hunter and Derek Mulroney. Now if there's any particular reason you need to see this film, it is Sigourney Weaver stars in it. She is absolutely brilliant throughout the entire film. Now she plays this field specialist who specialises in serial killers. At the start of the movie she gets attacked by a serial killer and suffers from agoraphobia. Because of that she kind of locks herself away and is really afraid to leave the house. What happens of course with the film is a new set of murders begin to happen and the FBI need their help. Holly Hunter and Dermot Mulroney play the detectives in this one and both of them honestly give a really good job, but as I said Sigourney Weaver is kind of the standout performance in the film. Just kind of her cat and mouse game with the killer as well is quite interesting. For me this is actually one of the better thrillers of the 90s. You don't see a lot of people talking about it and I've always kind of seen that as quite unfortunate. The plot as well is quite interesting. Now it does unfold slowly at the start of the movie, but when the pace kind of picks up it really goes all out. There's actually a lot of twists and turns in this one as well. Some you honestly do not see coming and are just out of left field. Particularly in the second act of the movie there's a huge thing that happens that kind of changes the course of the film completely. I do really enjoy this one guys. As I said, not a lot of people watch it and it is unfortunate. It's a really tense, exciting movie, so it is worth a watch. Another one to watch is Night of the Living Dead from 1960. So of course this is the movie that kind of started off the entire zombie craze. The plot follows a bunch of people who are surviving a zombie apocalypse essentially in a farmhouse. Now what I like about this movie is you have your zombies but you also have a lot of tension developing in this farmhouse. So the zombies themselves, you know, they do look quite sick, they look quite terrifying and there's something about the movie being in black and white, it really ups the ante on it. This one, guys, it is of course a classic. It has some great characters and a really shocking twist towards the end of the movie. As I said, guys, constantly going from the undead outside and the tensions growing in the house is a really interesting way just to show that humans can be just as bad. The characters that develop in this and kind of the way they try to survive are quite interesting. If you can, guys, I also highly recommend checking out the remake. That's also a great watch, but make sure, guys, you start with the classic. Another one I highly recommend is a recent one enough, and that's Knives Out from 2019. So Knives Out, it's kind of an American mystery film and it's written and directed by Rian Johnson. Now it is also starring Daniel Craig, Chris Evans and Ana de Armas. The movie itself, it has an all-star cast. You got Chris Evans in here, you got Jamie Lee Curtis, you got Daniel Craig. Everyone kind of has their own part to play in the movie and they all play it perfectly. It is a classic whodunit, just like Clue, but it has its own little twists and turns. I will say, guys, this is definitely a modernized whodunit. I was going in expecting one thing and I came out pretty much pleasantly surprised by what the film had to offer. It has a lot of really good comedic moments, some really fun interactions with the different characters, and quite a lot of red herrings. What I liked about this one is you are constantly guessing right up until the end of the movie, and when the big reveal is made, it comes as quite shocking. It's a fun one to watch, guys. If you're a fan of whodunits, definitely give it a shot. And just to keep this list short, my last one is Joyride from 2001. So Joyride, it kind of centers around a group of friends who go on this cross-country trip. Now they do play a prank on kind of a truck driver on a CB radio, and he kind of makes it his mission to get revenge. The movie for me, guys, again, it's not one that's talked about enough. I absolutely love watching this movie. Now originally in the UK and Ireland, when I was growing up, the movie itself was actually called Roadkill, and that's what I knew it as. The sequels, of course, were still called Joyride, but kind of anywhere you look online today, it is generally just called Joyride. It stars Paul Walker and he does a great job in the movie. It is, a very early 2000s type movie, but I absolutely love the killer in this one. What makes the killer quite different than any other killers that we had at that time is that we don't see quite a lot of him. Instead, we're constantly hearing him over a CB radio. What's great as well, you constantly don't know where he is. He kind of controls the roads and he knows the roads by like the backside of his hand. The characters don't. So he kind of constantly pops up here and there, but that's a great way for him to have control in the film. You're constantly on edge and you don't really know what's going to happen with his character next. There is something really eerie and creepy when he's on that radio, when he's looking for these kids and trying to take them out. Now I know the movie did get quite a few sequels with Rusty Nail, but honestly I always wished we got proper sequels to these movies. I do think the character of Rusty Nail had so much potential and it did kind of get squandered with the sequels. Saying that though, the first one still holds up. It's great at kind of mounting tension throughout the entire movie, and it is a cat and mouse game. Constantly Rusty Nail is trying to track down these kids and it keeps tension going throughout the entire film. But guys, that's just some of my own horror movies that I enjoy watching on Amazon Prime. Of course, guys, Prime Video has a lot of different movies you can watch at the moment, but if you want to give these ones a go during the month of October just to have something scary and thrilling to watch, let me know what you thought of them. We are going into day 11 tomorrow, guys, of our 31 days of horror, so we have quite a bit still to go. If you have your own suggestions for Amazon Prime, just with movies you like to watch on the service, leave them down below and let's start watching them. Remember, guys, you can pop on your notification bell just so you don't miss another video. Subscribe to the channel if you like, and I will see you in the next one.